Hey, what's going on? Little hobby farmer. Always like to get out there and do different things. Know that much about it. I was just one day, I'm gonna do it, and that's what I did. Welcome to the Dick Allan Show. I'm Rick, your host. Today we're going to talk about the next two businesses that I started up after my crash and burn. The reason I'm doing this is because a lot of things feel synthetic out there in the business world. As I watch, the YouTube and all the stuff out there, everybody's doing like positive quotes and all this stuff, but rarely do I find an original experience or someone who's been there. It's basically filled with a bunch of wannabes. Sorry. It's just, if that offends you, I'm sorry. A lot of people are not putting in the hard work that it requires. Maybe I should just stop right there before I dig myself in a hole and everyone's like, that guy sucks. Like I said before, I was $2.4 million in debt. I was starting over. I moved back in with my parents. I was a boomeranger. I was 24 years old. I started doing handyman work. I'm fairly handy. I studied construction in college and business, and I was charging like 25 to 30 bucks an hour. This is like right after 9/11, so about 2001, 2002. It was a good fit for me, and it started putting cash in my hand. And as the creditors called and so forth, they could threaten things. I'm gonna garnish your wages. I'm gonna do this and that. But being self-employed, they couldn't do that type of thing. So one of the advantages of being self-employed is you can manage your debts more effectively. And when they call and scream, you just be like, look, man, I owe $2.4 million. Make me a deal I can't refuse, or get in line. And these guys are like, I want my 3,000. Get in line, man. So what I did is I ended up waiting about a year or two before I started dealing with them, unless it was like, hey, I need $100. That I could afford. But if they were willing to work with me, they could wait. So a little side note about dealing with debt. So anyway, I'm being a handyman. My dad was a realtor. He was old school realtor. He went out and walked the streets and passed out flyers and did all that stuff. I made a bunch of flyers and be like, hey, Dad, can you pass these out? Sure. Of course he wants to help me out. He's my dad. So he passed out flyers with my handyman stuff. I went elsewhere, passed out flyers. People that are moving, they got to fix their house up. I had some income and I could start getting back on my feet. You got to use your network. I start off with my family network first. They provided me a place to sleep, place to eat. They knew I was a hard worker, so they weren't too concerned about me, like being the couch monster. Made some contacts. Several people I used to work for. You go to church. There's tons of people there with different stories and opportunities, or at least they could put the word out for you. One of the old guys I worked with was a roofing contractor. Actually, there were two of them. Both of them were moving out of state. The market was kind of slowing down. I made a deal with one of them. He asked me if I wanted to buy his business, but I was like, man, I can't afford anything. So we worked out a deal where, as he was moving out of state and he's starting up a roofing company out of state, where I would work for free for 3 months while he was out of state building up his business. So this provided him income and opportunity while he was out of state. So over the next 3 months, I made him $30,000, and he gave me the business. There's opportunities out there, even for somebody like me who, just couldn't afford something like that. And I had all these other problems to deal with. I had that opportunity. The other gentleman, who was also moving out of state, he wanted $75,000 for his business. Both businesses, in some sense, were basically identical. It was them. One made a little more than the other. One moved out of state and didn't sell his business. I think for a few $1,000s he was able to sell his phone number. The business was them. And so a lot of people think that, hey, I got this business, I make $100,000 a year, you need to pay me $100,000. You know what, I'll discount that, $75,000. So I took over this business. I worked it for 3 months. I kind of learned the basics of it. If I had any questions, I could call him. And basically what I got was his phone number. And you're not really supposed to do this, but I had his license, and I worked it for a few months until I got my own license. And then all I really used was his phone number and his 10 years of marketing. When I got a call, if he had a leaky roof, I'd be like, hey, oh yeah, so-and-so, he moved out of state. I picked up his phone number. What can I do for you? Go out, fix the roof, or do a new estimate. I was making $100,000 a year off of 3 months of sweat equity. There's opportunities out there. I'm an opportunist. I've noticed in life, if I love something, it turns out to be a job and work. So I kind of tweaked my way of thinking over the years. It's work, it's a job, and I get excited about the opportunity, not the idea itself. So that's what I did getting up and started. The most important thing for me was emotional support that was given. You know, having family to help me get back on my feet was key. When you're rock bottom, you really need some emotional support. And if they weren't there, believing in me, putting me out where I could, you know, it's tough. It's tough. So don't burn any bridges. I don't care if you have a mother-in-law that's like, she's crazy. I love her because she's crazy. You know, you never know if you might need that couch to sleep on. I think I talked about garnishing wages. If you're self-employed, they can't do that to you. Unemployment, I didn't get any unemployment. I didn't pay into it, and when you're self-employed and you crash and burn, they're like, oh, sorry, you know. So I didn't get that. And your best friend with debt is time. You know, my credit's back up in the 700s now. You let the 7 years go by. It's a stumbling block, and it sucks. A lot of things you got to come out with cash for instead of, you know, and we know the system's designed that if you have debt and life sucks for you and your credit's ruined, it can be tough. You're being nickeled and dimed while you're trying to like take one step forward, and it's extremely tough. I get that, but there's still opportunities out there, and there's still people that will work with you. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about the next business I bought, and you're going to see the trend here, and hopefully it clicks with you if you're an opportunity entrepreneur